Sydney, do you hear me?
Yes.
Can you guys hear me?
I hear you, Kyle. Do you hear me?
Kyle, can you hear Chris or no?
I don't think he can hear either of us.
Uh-oh. Let's rejoin. There's a private chat.
Now I can hear you guys.
Can you?
Yeah, my laptop was still set off in the afternoon. In the morning. Remember we use the laptop, but I use my screen. So, cool.
Good morning, Judy. Good morning, Abraham. And first in Puerto Rico, I see you all the time. You got to tell us what your weekend is. How was your weekend, Chris?
It was okay. Nothing exciting.
Yeah. I see. It was like 85 here this weekend, but it's supposed to go back up to 102. And normally the record for Idaho was to have 15 days of 100 or more in August. And we are at 22 right now, and it's the 29th. And on Wednesday and Thursday, it's going to be 102.
Yeah, well, we're supposed to be at 106 for the next 5 days here.
Oh, that's so awful.
It sucks.
So awful.
Yeah, we had a nice weekend weather-wise. I mean, it still gets hot, but
Yeah.
No, we're getting a nasty heat wave.
Same. Yeah, it was like 85. It was so nice. Like my shop right now is 60 degrees, and I'm like, oh, this is so nice. So nice. But it's about to be.
It's nice outside right now. It's like 63. It'll be 90 today, but tomorrow on it's going to be over 100.
Ugh. I'm so over it. I just want it to be fall. We literally went from if you think about it, the days between when we had our last snow, which was in May, 12th or something, to when it was 100 was July 8th. And that was 5 weeks. From snow to absurd 6 weeks. Good morning, everybody. Drinking Squirrel Killer coffee, dodging mosquitoes.
I had to go on my phone and delete a ton of pictures, Sydney, so I could get those videos from Cheryl. It still won't let me airdrop.
Oh, yeah.
So I have some more deleting to do. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. How is everybody? I feel like it's been forever since we did Bead Maker and Coffee, but I think it's because we were in Hayward last time.
Yeah, that does seem like forever ago, actually. A lot's going on.
Yeah, you just got back from a big trip.
It was a quick trip. Yeah, I went to Cedar City, Utah. They had an off-road rally, and me and my family went and took the Razor up there for 3 days and did a bunch of trails. It was a lot of fun.
Cool.
With 15 to 25 Razors each day, going all over the place and checking out the mountains in Utah, southern Utah. It was fun.
Awesome. Speaking of Hayward, I see Mike's Auto Detailing is here. Mike, we actually waited for you in Hayward. We were hoping you were going to stop by when we were there. We were watching for you, so I just wanted to give you a shout out and tell you that we missed you. We were hoping you'd come by. All right, so let's see. So we haven't had one of these since we've been back from Monterey, have we?
Nope.
No.
So let's recap. We
What
can
a
talk a
crazy
little about
couple weeks,
Monterey.
right?
Yeah.
Crazy couple weeks. So last time we were here, we were in Hayward getting ready to head out. Literally hours after we got done, we headed out with the Motorlux team and headed to Monterey for Monterey Car Week. And, this year we knew going in that it was going to look a little different because, Haggerty had purchased the McCall's show from Gordon McCall. So we knew things would look different, but I thought it ended up really great. I thought the party, the show, there was a lot of hesitation on how it was going to come together, but it was awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah, definitely. It was different and awesome in a different way. There was not the flair with the planes that Gordon always brought to his party. Gorgeous airplanes. There were some planes, and some of them were just kind of tucked on the side.
Yeah.
But they weren't part of the party. That was a bummer. But there were some other things that were, pretty cool. They had those swings, those chair swings.
The swings were cool.
Lots of places to sit.
Yep.
Lots of great food. Lots of amazing cars. The cars that were there, most of them were all going into the auction, all 93 cars, which was a lot. So the cars were different. They weren't curated the same as Gordon did. There wasn't themes in different areas. It was just a lot of cars. But it was great. That part was, getting ready for the show that we've done every year. We had a good time. Had a bunch of new team members that had a great time. I was really, really busy.
Yeah.
Especially working on some cars that needed some love. That was giving us problems.
Yep. Yeah. It was crazy, but it was a good week. It went by really fast. But we had an awesome team. I see Josh is here this morning. Josh Pierce. So good morning, Josh. Chris has seen you more recently than we have, but good to see you again. And we've got a couple veterans of the show. We've got Ricardo and Nick here. Good morning, Nick. It was just, it was a very successful week. The auction portion, I'm sure.
Let's talk about that real quick.
Yeah. So the rag company was there. So I know there will be a video that comes out with all of, the footage from the auction, which was absolutely crazy. So part of the crew got to work the auction on Thursday night rather than going to the quail. And man, talk about what would you call that? Like rapid fire detailing?
Yeah. Even though all these vehicles were already previously wiped down the day before and the day before that, and tires were dressed and windows were cleaned, all the vehicles right after the party got shoved into a hangar. All 90 something vehicles. They say 93, but I think it was actually a couple less because of they auctioned off some watches.
They had a watch and stuff.
Yeah. So I think it was more like 89 or 90. They had 3 or 4 other items, but we'll say 90 vehicles were shoved in this hangar. They all got dusty.
Because they were on a tarmac, right? A working tarmac. Yeah.
Yeah, and then people were touching them because they were doing the auction pre-walkthrough. So all these people that were going to buy the vehicles were going around measuring paint and walking by them and brushing up against them. And they just don't think of vehicles like detailers do, don't touch. Yeah. And so wipe them down again and then again. And then we kind of found the sweet spot about between 3 to 5 vehicles back before they go on to the auction block is when you have to just do a final wipe down. Otherwise, they get dusty again right before they go back. So, it was go, go, go. We had 4 people at a time on a car, and we were just banging them out. We kind of learned auction detailing, the important side to show.
Right.
the driver's side is where the audience sees it.
Yep.
And we got to play with a bunch of different products on each vehicle, and got to test some new stuff. And we had a great time doing that with the boys from TRC. So we had Josh and Levi and Anthony and Jimmy. We had to recruit Jimmy at one point. We said, Jimmy, you're done filming. I need you to jump in and help us. We are beat. So,
it was crazy.
5 hours of nonstop detailing.
Yep. But it was really good. We had a really great time. So I can't wait till some of those videos come out. I'm sure they got amazing
that'll be awesome
footage. So yeah, it was great. And then came home. Well, you got to work for a couple of days and then head out on a family trip. But I've been nonstop since I got home. So crazy. So should we
your detail
let's talk about our last favorite products on details. So some of mine, I always have those shine through products that always kind of get me out of jams that I love to talk about. But seriously, this week I want to talk about, it's actually a tool, and it's something that I probably went through, and honestly, probably 45 of them this week. It was insane. I mean, obviously I washed them, but literally used so many of these this week. So my favorite product is the Blueberry, which the reason I wanted to talk about this is because I know that we talk about that this is my favorite pad a lot, but it truly is. I mean, I try to use other pads, and this one it's so amazing. So I've been doing lots of coatings. This is such a great one-step pad. You get an amazing level of correction, doesn't leave any marring, and I just absolutely love it. But the reason I wanted to talk about this is I didn't know if everybody knew that our pads are actually made by Buff and Shine. So they're the exact same as the Blueberry from Buff and Shine. And these are in our double black collection. And so on the back, they're printed with the double black logo, and they say Reflection Artist on it and everything. So I didn't know if you guys knew that we had these. So we have these on our site. A lot of our distributors will carry these. They're just a really cool, I would die without these. And literally every card that I did yesterday, I had this crazy 1950 Mercury that came in on an emergency paint correction this weekend. And, just because of the nature of the paint and everything, I really wanted to make sure that I was using, not a loaded up pad. So I probably went through 15 to 18 of these on that one car. It was so crazy. So I have probably washed these pads 4 times this week, and I have like 20 of them, and I've just been using them like crazy. So I wanted to talk about these today because I really, really love this pad. It's my favorite. And just wanted to make sure you guys knew that PNS does have double black branded ones that we carry on our site. So that's my got me out of jam this week.
They always save my butt too. I love those pads. With so many different products out there in the market, they're one of my go-tos. And I could talk about Monterey for a second, so I'm going to bring up 2 pads or another pad. We were working on a BMW M1 that had this most finicky paint ever, and we were trying every pad that we brought with us. Sorry, I was reading something, and I had to ask Keith, can you please go to Central Coast PNS and pick up some of our black pads? And that saved the day, because every other pad was just doing different things, hazing, marring, chemical, we tried all these different scenarios, and it just kept coming back that the pad was the problem. So we got our black foam pads, these finishing pads, kind of old school foam, and it just kicked butt. It saved it. It cleaned up all the issues we were trying to get out. Obviously, this vehicle wasn't going to be perfect in the short amount of time we had. But we got the hood, the roof, and the deck lid all dialed in, and really saved the day. But my favorite product this week is, since I was with my family, Before I left, I threw a pack of Rag Company towels in my truck. Literally, I grabbed a bucket, threw them in a bucket. I grabbed a pint of each of the products from the off-road line and the soap, and just in case I needed it. And while I was up there off-roading, I got a couple pictures using the products. Some I probably wouldn't use. They didn't come out as good as I wanted. It was very go, go, go. Like you hop out, you eat a snack, and then they're like, hey, it's time to go. And I have to throw the girls back in the back of the Razor, put their helmets on, and we take off again. But I didn't want to bring the Razor home dirty because we were going to put it right into our trailer in our toy hauler. So I decided to stop at one of those Queen car washes, and I did something that it just blew me away. I was just testing. So I sprayed the whole side of the Razor with Mudbuster, the wheel, the tire, the suspension, one of the doors, and I just soaked it in Mudbuster. And I let it sit for maybe 30 seconds. Maybe could have been 45. It took me a few seconds to figure out how to use the credit card swipe. The car wash. It wasn't working. And then I started pre-rinsing the whole Razor. And I'll tell you what, the tire, the shocks, the fender, and the door that I put Mudbuster on, all the mud just went gone. It just completely just ate through the mud and the grime that holds mud together. But when I did the next door and the other fender and the other tire, it wasn't coming off. The dirt just wasn't coming off. So where I sprayed Mudbuster, and I have a bunch of video clips, I'll make a TikTok about it. Man, it totally killed it and emulsified that dirt and mud. And we went through so many different types of dirt. We went through red dirt, white dirt, mucky mud, just the black mud, red mud. There were so many. Over 3 days of off-roading, the Razor just got covered in all sorts of different types of soil, and it killed it. So I was really, really happy with pre-spraying the Razor with Mudbuster. And on the other side where I didn't do it, I had the same problem. I had to sit there with the pressure washer and really go to town to break through that before I did the wash. And then I busted out the wide open wash. I put it on a microfiber, a gold microfiber, and I washed the whole Razor down. And so I'll show that on the TikTok later. But I was really, really happy with Mudbuster as a pre-treat to break all that down. It's pretty cool. So
that's awesome.
I was hoping to have the video ready, but I couldn't get it airdropped from my wife's phone to my phone to edit. So I'll work on that today.
Very cool. Cool. Well, should we get jumping into some questions, Chris?
Good. I've been encouraging these guys to ask some. But
I see our friends from TRC are on here. It's probably your buddy Gabe.
Samantha says she wants a Mudbuster t-shirt.
That'd be cool.
We have the off-road ones. Kyle's actually wearing it today.
Yeah, that's why I wore it.
Yeah.
I was super excited about it. No, that'd be cool. It's a good idea.
Yep. All right. So from Toast 707, good morning. I used Inspiration for the first time yesterday. I don't know if the conditions were right here in Northern California, but it could not have been easier. It came out awesome. I feel like, Inspiration's gone through a couple tweaks over the last couple years. And yes, it's so easy now. All summer, for some reason, I've been doing a lot of Legend jobs. Usually before the summer, I would say that it was kind of 50-50. And lately it's just been a lot of people choosing Legend, mainly because it's been a lot of new cars and they know that they're probably going to keep them a while. But then last week I did have one that was Inspiration. And I just was like, God, I forgot how easy this is. It's so easy. I love Inspiration. So good. I'm glad that it went great for you.
It's one of my favorite coatings to put on because of the longevity. I feel like 3 years is like kind of the perfect sweet spot. At 3 years, if I haven't seen you, I want to see your car again for maintenance, right? Even though we should be maintaining them more often, people just don't do it, when they hear 3 years. So I feel like it's a good time to, reset it and maybe top it. But it is so easy that's kind of the coating I try to apply to most RVs when I do RVs is inspiration. It allows me to do really big sections and wipe off really nice because it's, RVs are so big. Where Legend, I have to do a lot of smaller sections.
Right.
And you're making good money, but I don't really want to coat an RV for 4 days. I can get a whole RV coated in a day with inspiration and just big sections, easy to wipe, and then come back and top it with Soul, So, I have to agree. It's killing it. I love it.
Yep. Love it. Hans has noticed the cat. Oh, she's on, where is she? How come I can't find her? Right here. So the cat normally ruins the live stream and she's taking a nap right now, but she is making sure that she's here. So thanks for noticing her, Hans.
Oh, Bristol.
She's I'm surprised the dog hasn't come down yet. I'm sure she will. All right. So next question from Sarah. Is it safe to use Brilliant Blue on, and I think she means tonneau covers. Does that sound right? Probably.
Yeah, I believe that's what she's asking.
I think it auto-corrected on her.
I haven't used Brilliant Blue on tonneau covers before. That is something out of our professional line that we don't get into as often. I really like using Shape Up on those things. It kind of is more of a UV protectant. It's very light. It won't be very greasy. Where Brilliant Blue, I think, is going to attract a lot of dust because it's very thick.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, because Brilliant Blue is kind of that more. It is more of a greasy dressing that you're definitely going to attract more dust. So I think on tonneau covers, we're really going for deepening the black, which, you're going to get from either Shape Up or, a lot of times I'll use Natural Finish too. Sometimes Natural Finish doesn't quite have enough, but so Shape Up's a great option. But I would not use the Brilliant Blue. I think that would.
Yeah, I don't have enough experience with Brilliant Blue to tell you, but I do know it's very thick and it's going to attract a lot of dust. Natural Finish or Shape Up are probably the go-to for that because it's such a flat surface that anything from the air is going to collect on it. So at least you could put on Shape Up or Natural Finish, allow it to absorb and soak in, and then buff it down.
Yep.
It'll make it look nice.
All right. Next one from Gary. How do you store clay pads and towels? I've used them, cleaned them, and placed them back in the packaging, and they stick to the packaging. So I do two things with mine. So, I use rinseless wash to wash all of my cars. So I actually leave my clay towel in the bucket with the rinseless wash. But I've also just hung dry them over my sink also, with obviously the face up so that they don't stick to anything. And they do fine doing that as well. So I can see where putting them back in their packaging does kind of keep them or makes them sticky. But the other thing you can do if you want to put them back in the packaging, specifically on the towel, is roll it with the clay on the inside. So that in our case, if you're talking about the reset towel, the red would be on the outside. So you can do that.
Exactly. I rinse mine out. I roll them up and then I stick them back in the factory. I don't dry them out. I want moisture in there. I don't know if Gary's a shop or mobile. If you're mobile, that's probably why they're sticking, because of the heat outside. And I know what you're talking about with the clay like mitts. I've had the same problem.
Yeah, in the clamshell thing, right?
Yeah. And so I keep it out of the sun. So I have a toolbox in the back of my van. So I just put it in the drawer. But what I've also done is I've also given it a mist of paint gloss, and then closed it, and that kept it from sticking. That's what I do, and I just rinse them out regularly, or soak them in. I've soaked them in rags to riches before. I've rinsed them out. You just got to take care of them. The great thing about synthetic clay pads or towels is you're going to get so many vehicles out of it. You're getting your money's worth. Eventually, you're just going to have to get new ones. Versus like a traditional clay bar. I used to get like 5 to 10 vehicles out of them
Mhm.
on a really bad vehicles, and then I'd have to toss them, or my employees would drop one and then I'd have to toss it. So
Mhm.
that's what's so amazing about the new clay technology, especially with the reset towel.
Yeah.
Morning chain.
It's crazy. Cool. All right.
Next one coming up.
Coming up, we have got Ricardo. This is a great question. So it's a two-part question. What do you pair your blueberry pad with the most? And then what product do you use that replaces dynamic? So the blueberry pad, my new favorite, thanks. Somehow I need to find a different word. My new favorite is, and this actually, I got this from Josh Pierce, so I'll give him a shout out, is to use Full Throttle with the blue pad. So Full Throttle is a polish that PNS has had around forever. It's kind of been in the basement, as we say. And Josh let me know that it was amazing and it's really, really good. So it was a polish that was originally developed to use with the rotary. But it works amazing on a DA, specifically on the blue pad. And so I've been using that to do one steps on all these new cars, and they just come out absolutely amazing. So that's probably my current my current favorite. Sometimes that changes, but I do love Full Throttle on it. It also works really well with Ego Maker. When you're using a compound and you're wanting to use Ego Maker, it works great with that. It tends to, I don't get quite as great of a finish. I might have to go back over with a polish or a, even like an Envy or something, but really love it with Full Throttle. So that'll be the next one that
the blueberry, what don't
label.
we use it with? I love it with
right.
Ultra Coat polish.
Mm-hmm.
I love it with even other brands, the Last Cut Plus. It's been great for me. Great combos, Full Throttle. And so it's worked great with a lot of different products.
Yep.
And the question about what
do you use to replace dynamic?
I haven't replaced dynamic because I stocked up on it.
Me too.
I grabbed a bunch.
But in all honesty, good workarounds. So there's a couple. So Odyssey from the Chemtrol line is actually a really, really great dressing. I really enjoy Odyssey. So that's a good substitute. It's not quite the same finish, but it's pretty close. It's maybe a little bit more glossy depending on how you diluted your dynamic. And then I still have dynamic. So I've been pouring a little bit of dynamic into natural finish, which has made it similar to dynamic, which I've been doing that. And I love that. And then also Shape Up's a great one that gets overlooked a lot. Shape Up's really, really good. And, and then there's always Shine All that's a great substitute too. None of these are going to be, we're not going to love them as much as we love dynamic, but they're all very good alternatives.
It depends on what you're using dynamic for. If you were using it on tires, then I would do what Sydney said and go to Odyssey.
Yeah.
As your alternative. If you're using dynamic on trim, I would probably go to natural finish or interior for sure. Natural finish. Those are the replacements, kind of where I've gone with it. I wouldn't really, and I like it on like bumpers. I use natural finish on like the bumper covers and stuff.
Fender wells, I'm natural finish.
Yeah.
One thing that's probably notable here is that for me, and I know Kyle does this too, one thing we used dynamic for was when we'd have vehicles with like aftermarket black matte wheels, we would use it to rehydrate the wheels and turn them black again. So you could literally spray the whole tire and the whole wheel, and then it wiped right off the wheel. So nice. Don't do that with Odyssey. Does not work.
Yeah.
Does not work out. You're gonna make a greasy mess. So that's the only thing where, Odyssey is really good on the tires like dynamic, but not great on the wheels. So in that case, if you truly didn't have dynamic, I would probably spray natural finish on the wheel and then do Odyssey.
Let it soak in and blend it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would do. We got another question we'll answer in a minute about all the dressings.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Today's going to be a dressing day, which is totally cool.
It's funny how there's themes, right?
Yeah.
Yes, this is a great question too. So Frank says, what product can I use on WeatherTech and rubber floor mats to make them look good and not be slippery? So natural finish. And there's actually a video on this, Frank, on our PNS YouTube channel. Just recently, I did one using Undressed to really clean and strip everything off the WeatherTech, and then dressed it with natural finish. Now, for me, especially right now, because it's so sunny and hot here, I spray the rubber floor mats with natural finish, and then I throw them out in the sun for, like an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, however, whatever point in the detail that I am. And the sun kind of bakes it in there, and then I can literally throw them in the car. They're not slippery. It's totally absorbed, and they're ready to go. Now, depending on your climate and really the actual rubber floor mat, some are a little bit different than others. You can always take a towel and wipe them. And I don't have any problem with them being slippery, but it's just because of my climate. It's very dry here. But I think, Kyle, you had said before that you can take just a little bit of Express on a towel and kind of, if they are too slippery, and just kind of wipe that top layer, and it takes the slipperiness off, but does not ruin the rehydration and black appearance.
Yeah, as long as you give it enough time to soak in, whatever that is. I mean, even as little as 10 minutes to allow it to soak in and then buff down, especially in the little pockets. That's where you're going to have to get a towel in there. But natural finish does a great job of hydrating those WeatherTechs for sure. And other rubber floor mats. So my truck has the factory Ford, but their version of a WeatherTech. Right. And it's more rubber. And it works great on it, but I have to buff it down a little because it doesn't soak it up like WeatherTechs do. Because my van has WeatherTechs. Yeah.
The other thing here too is we did have somebody question this, that they were having trouble, and what they were doing was they were doing them at the end of their detail. So right before the customer came. So this is another tip is, if you're using natural finish on them, like I do the floor mats first, like that's kind of, in the first half hour of my detail, I take the mats out, I get them clean, get the natural finish on them, and they sit out in the sun all day. So that's the other thing too. If you're wanting to condition them, definitely I would do it at the beginning of the detail, not right at the end. So not right before the customer comes, because it is, you kind of want those couple hours for it to absorb in, and then you're going to have great results.
Yeah. Clean them really well first. That's the other key to it.
Yep. Brake Buster and Dressed are both great for those.
Yeah.
All right. Edward says, what is your preferred sponge to use with bug off?
I think you got me hooked on the Jersey bug scrubber.
Yeah.
But it's perfect for those. Now on RVs, I use a bug scrubber on a pole from Auto Fiber because I don't want to climb a ladder and scrub. But like the bottom portion, like from the window down, I use the Jersey bug scrubber on most everything.
Me too.
So I spray the mitt or the sponge, and then I also spray the vehicle and scrub, and then I just foam right over it and go to do my wash.
Yep. I use the Jersey bug scrubber too, and I just have one that lives in my bucket with my sponge, and those things are so awesome. They're from the Rag Company. Yep. So, and those things are so great. I just feel like they're, the first bug scrubber that I've had that really truly doesn't scratch the paint. And they work great whether you spray it on the paint or if you spray it on the scrubber. I mean, they're so awesome. So awesome. So yeah.
And I love they're in blue now because I didn't like the orange ones.
Yep. Yeah. I love the blue. And now they have a gray one too.
Oh, cool.
I just got a bunch of gray ones. Love them. Oh yeah. Cause I think, what does it say, Chris? I can't really read that, but does it say the gray is a pearl weave on the other side? I think one is like
Yep. So the pearl weave versus a terry weave.
Yeah. Yep. So now I have the pearl weave. They're really nice. And it's nice because on that sensitive paint, you still have that side that you can use, to get bugs off if on sensitive areas, which is nice. So real quick, can we, like, you can leave this picture up, but Jessica asked a question about full throttle. She said, is it trim safe? So technically kind of no. I mean, you're still going to get white if you hit the trim, but this Jersey bug scrubber is what I use to immediately wipe compounds and polishes off the trim. Just because of that, the bug scrubbing material, it really helps get into the trim to get the compounds and polishes out. So I wanted to bring this up here because this is what I use to get compounds and polishes off trim. So it is going to cause a little bit of white, but it's easily scrubbed out with the Jersey bug scrubber.
Yeah, it's an old school product, so it's not meant for that, and you probably should tape off if you're going to use it, or let an employee use it. You know, a lot of times they just don't take the time to be as careful as, you know, the owner would. I know that for a fact. So I asked my guys to polish my truck, and I come out and there's product in my bed sides. That was not fun. I was not happy about that. But yeah, that's a good way to clean it out. I'll have to try that.
All right. So do you guys like to use Wipe and Shine, Odyssey, Shape Up, Island Shine, or Dressed for tires, and why? What's the difference between them? I have found that Dressed is sticky or very viscous. Then what is your process for application? This is a great question.
You take the top one and I'll take the Dressed part because I like Dressed.
Okay. So Wipe and Shine, we'll just start with Wipe and Shine. That is my top dressing. I kind of reserve that as my premium tire dressing. Couple great things about Wipe and Shine is you put it on with a brush so you don't spray it. So you put it on with a brush. I do Wipe and Shine on all of my coated cars. The reason I do this is I generally dress the tires right after or right before I'm getting ready to paint prep. And the reason that I use it on coated cars is so that I'm not aerosolizing anything in the shop after I've done my compound and polish. So I want to dress the tires right before I start coating. So I like to just know that there's been nothing else with, you know, any silicones or anything sprayed in the air. So I always do Wipe and Shine on that. The other nice thing about Wipe and Shine is you can do it when the tire's still wet. So if you have a car that comes in and you've just done a wash and it hasn't been long enough for the tires to fully dry, you can use Wipe and Shine, which is nice. Odyssey, I kind of reserve for my bigger trucks, 4x4s, real beefy, you know, big tread tires, because I use it in an air sprayer. That is my favorite way to use Odyssey. You can also apply it with a brush and it's great. I just have like the system on application and that's where mine fall in. So mine goes into the big tire category, but I really like Odyssey and it smells great. Shape Up, I don't generally use on tires, but I'll use it on a lot of trim and, you know, tonneau covers like we talked about. So I do use it a lot on that. I have not tried Island Shine and take away Dressed, Kyle.
Well, I'd say Odyssey is a better version of Island Shine. As I've tried that. And I've used Shape Up on tire covers, you know, like on the back of RVs where they have the covers. It works great for that kind of vinyl. Dressed, being a non-silicone tire dressing, first you have to really clean the tires well. So, you know, got to strip the tires with undressed. And as it being like very viscous, you know what? A little bit goes a long way with Dressed. That's one thing I've learned when we were testing it. Is I was using it on like fire trucks and semi trucks, big tires, and a little bit of product did the entire tire with a brush. I used a brush. And I was really, really happy with it. If the tire's not prepped, you know, and really cleaned well, it can look not perfect like it should, but on most tires, I'm digging it. I use it on my fleet. We have a fleet of vehicles we clean every other Saturday, and we did the tires one time, just a crazy good scrub. Can you hear Benson? Benson, quiet. Great. And then from there, it's always been Dressed. And so I've never had to, you know, re-prep them. We've never used a silicone dressing on those tires. We see them every other week, so works great. I really like dress though.
I do too. And so I've been doing a test on my personal vehicle. So, gosh, what's it been about? I think, did I get my new tires in June? So it's been a couple months, probably 2.5 months since I got new tires on my Jeep. And so because they were brand new, I just decided I'm only going to use dressed for like 6 months. That's all I'm going to use. Wasn't going to put any dressings with silicones on, on my tires. And so I've only used dressed. And I have to honestly say, they look great even when they're dirty. So they never have turned any shade of brown. The dressing does wear off faster than, say, a silicone dressing. They definitely, the dressing wears off faster, but they're easier to clean. So when I go to clean them, I don't even really need to use a tire cleaner. They clean up super easy and the dressed goes right back on. So like Kyle said, I think dressed is just one of those things that you really, really have to make sure you prep the tire. It's all about the prep. And then you can't really switch back and forth between. So, on my own vehicle, I'm only using dressed. And then I have a couple customer cars that, I knew that they had either new tires or tires that I had prepped, really, really well, that I'm only using dressed on. And I mean, I love that dressing. It's really, really good if used the correct way.
Well, what's crazy about this is we have a lot of dressings. The Facebook user hasn't even touched on all the other ones. But these are the ones that we go to the most. They're either the top tier in the Pro line or in the double black line. Odyssey is in our Chemtrol line and falls into that. So, it's too bad though. We're missing Dynamic from the conversation. Hopefully that comes back sooner than later. I'd love to see Dynamic back. It's a great product.
It is. And can't you still get Dynamic on our website? Don't we still have it in the RTU client? I'm almost positive you can still get Dynamic a lot of places in the RTU.
Yeah,
so
I think we have it in
really
pints.
Dying for some Dynamic.
Yeah, I think it's still out there in pints.
Yeah.
But the gallons aren't available right now.
Yep. We love us some Dynamic. All right. So Facebook user would like to know, does Kyle offer private classes?
I wonder
if he's talking about an RV or
who this Facebook user is.
So Facebook user, tell us who you are, because on our end, it just says you're a Facebook user. It doesn't tell us who you are. So I'm assuming they mean like for RVs.
I don't know.
And stuff.
RVs and stuff. We've talked about it. We've done some RV training at the local, detail supply stores here in Southern California. But as things progress, maybe we'll do some more of that. We do have a great private trainer though. His name's Prentice. If you want to go to one of his classes, it's small classes, which is awesome. And he has them monthly at PNS. We'll see who's talking to me. Oh, it's Richard Ambrose.
Oh, funny. I wonder why it doesn't tell us who he is.
He can have time with me anytime he wants. He can come work.
That's funny. And then I also wonder if it's all him or if there's other people that just aren't showing their name. That's interesting.
Maybe.
Cool. So these are the private classes that we have, or not, they're not private. We have group classes in Hayward at the PNS Detail Studio. So you can always check that out too. Prentice is an awesome trainer. And I think our September class is full, but I think we have October openings, correct, Chris?
Yes.
Oh, and look, Prentice in the chat. He says he is also available for remote private classes at your location. Thank you, Prentice.
That sounds a little bit racy.
I always love
awesome.
it when Prentice shows up in the chat. That's awesome. Very, very cool. All right.
Cool.
So next question, would it be safe to use natural finish on the rubber flooring too? So yeah, so I have, again, because there's some of those like work trucks that have that, whole rubber flooring rather than carpet. And I've used it on that totally. Now on those, depending on if they have mats over them or what the situation is, I usually do, buff it down pretty good. Because you definitely don't want that to be slippery under their feet or anything like that. So
cover up the gas pedal and the brake pedal. Make
Yeah.
sure those don't get anything on them, and make sure you
Mhm.
maybe even clean them with some Express just to
Mhm.
ensure you didn't get any on there.
Mhm.
But yeah, I've done it to the rubber floor mats in semi trucks and like work trucks, like the whole rubber flooring.
Mhm.
Same thing. Spray it on, let it soak in for a while, and then buff it down. And you should be good. Be careful with the kick panel. You know, if someone steps in, you don't want them to slip.
Mhm.
That'd be my only concern. That and the pedals.
Yep. Yep. Um, See, I feel like Anthony Brown is one of these Facebook users that it's not showing
Yeah,
Yeah.
name.
I think that's him.
Yeah.
Yep, it is. It's at Carter's Car Care. Get in touch with Prentice, buddy.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
We all need to plan a trip to see Anthony.
Yeah.
I'm trying,
Come on,
Anthony. You know what?
Bob.
I tell Keith all the
Let's do it.
time. I say I want to go to Texas. Okay, what can I use on the stainless exhaust tips to keep them looking good?
Depends on how bad they really were. All right. If they're already in great shape, I would just use some Metal Bright and a microfiber and regularly clean them. Usually, you kind of find on the bottom edge of the exhaust tip is where it gets bad. I hope you don't get to the point where you have to take out like the 4/0 steel wool and turn them into a brushed look. I hate when you have to do that when they get that bad. But stainless is really hard metal, and if you scratch it, it's very hard to get scratches out of it.
Yeah.
So be really careful there. But Metal Bright is what I usually go to.
Yep.
The other day we took the drill brush, the cone drill brush, and sprayed undressed inside of an exhaust pipe, and I just drilled it in there. Holy cow, it looked so good afterwards. I was blown away. It was on like, one of those fancy, it was like on a GTR where the exhaust tip, you can just see the whole inside. That was really nice. But Metal Bright is my go-to for the stainless hand polishing.
Yeah.
All
Yep.
right.
Same.
What do we got
I feel like I missed one question, but
I think we did a little further down. Let me see.
Which one do you think?
well, it was underneath the Prentice. On my screen, I can't scroll back, but it was
I do.
before Prentice originally came through.
You use the 2 fingers. You can't scroll back.
2 fingers. How do you do
Oh,
that?
the only
2 fingers on your
question
mouse pad. Push up.
Oh.
And you're the Mac
Oh my
user.
gosh, we learn something new every day. That's funny. Oh, maybe I
I think
didn't.
Bob taught me that. I'm not sure who
That
did.
is so crazy. Oh, good morning, Tony. Tony Mossel's here. That's nice. Tony had a big week last week. So next one up from Jeff C. Any exciting new products coming soon from PNS? We're always working on exciting new products, always. So yeah, we have some big ones. We have some small ones coming up. We're always working on stuff. I do know that we are working on our SEMA stuff right now, which is going to be pretty exciting. And yeah, always.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out what would be good, like small giveaway stuff for SEMA. We've been brainstorming that lately. And we did have a couple big ones come out. We had recently with the Sidekick and the Reset Towel. Those were 2 of our long time projects that are really doing well, and you're just happy that they're out there and helping detailers.
Yeah,
but
love
there's
the
some other
Sidekick.
things we've been working on. Stay tuned in the next 2
next
weeks,
couple weeks.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll have
And I'll
some
give
more
you a
stuff to
hint
bring
on
out.
one of them, and I won't get in trouble for giving this hint, but I'll give you a hint on one of them. One of them is going to be a new quart bottle, a pre-labeled quart bottle. So I won't say what it is, but there's a new pre-labeled quart bottle out that I know everybody's going to be really excited about, which, is kind of one of those funny things, but I promise everybody's going to really love it. All right. Any more questions?
No more
Lots of comments.
Love both those products.
So Mike, I am looking forward to buying some Undressed and other products. I hate cleaning floor mats. Me too, but you know what? Undressed is awesome on floor mats. I use Tempest a lot, and then Breakbuster has always been great on floor mats. And then I think that cleaning floor mats was one of those things that I used to really, really hate, but now I don't mind it so much. Because I use, all three of those products work great, but I use that and the drill brush. Man,
The drill brush made it a lot more fun.
Yeah, that changed the game really, because you just brush over them real quick, rinse them, and you're done. I mean, I remember, gosh, probably 3-4 years ago, I would spend so long cleaning floor mats, so long. And now I don't even think about it. Like I'll take them out and they'll be nasty and it doesn't even faze me, because whatever usually is on there, the drill brush is going to get off. So I don't hate them so bad now.
I like doing it. I have a little table that I bring with me, a little folding table. And so when we go to appointments, I'll put them on the table, and I'm like, guys working in the car, and I like doing the floor mats. I enjoy it more than anything. One, I'm not leaning over inside of the car, but I can stand there and drill brush and scrub and rinse them off. And then I just spray natural finish on them, and I just either leave them on the table, or I just find a nice clean area to set them down and let them soak. So I enjoy it.
Yep.
Ooh. Got a good question from Gabriel.
It's not really a question, is it?
Question or a statement?
Well, I think it's a statement, kind of as a question. I know what he's referring to. I am pretty sure we talked about it last week last time anyways.
Oh,
you did.
Maybe we did. We did. But actually, Gabriel, it's not actually out. It's not actually out.
No.
We have, that's right. We did say that we got the labels. That's right. Now I remember. I was like, I don't know.
It takes a little time. So we got the labels in for the 32-ounce bottle for Dreammaker.
Yeah.
And then that has to go into our ordering process for our distributors. They need a few weeks to get them in. Yeah. So hopefully we can announce that soon. We'll let you know.
They ought to ship all the labels and bottles to Sydney, and she can apply them all.
She's like a pro labeler.
Sounds like a great idea. I'd be like, here's your special wrinkle. Here's your special wrinkle.
As long as there's like $1 for every one, I think she'd do it. That is not a fun job.
No. I think I messed up a couple. I was trying to label them, Chris, at Hayward, and it was a mess. Okay, so Anthony says, is it okay to use Enviroclean as a pre-rinse? And if so, what's the dilution? Yes, I do that all the time.
Yeah. I'm kind of 10 to 1. I use it 10 to 1, 4 to 1 if it's really bad. But I like hitting the bottom rockers of a vehicle, the wheel wells, all that with Enviroclean, and then doing my rinse. And it definitely helps a ton.
Yep. I love it.
I
love it. So then Gabriel's, this is a funny one. So then he said, the newsletter says it. That's super funny because you win the award today because you read the newsletter. So thank you. That's awesome.
That is pretty cool. I didn't even notice that in the newsletter, but I just blew through it.
So good job. That's awesome.
It must have been one of the ones that Bob sends out.
Yeah. I'll have to check that out.
Maybe. But thanks for reading the newsletter. So in case you guys didn't notice, we have a newsletter, and it's super fun. We love it. It comes out every other week. Okay. So Hans says, I'd pay for Sydney or Kyle to apply a label on a bottle. Hans, we could totally arrange for that. And you would know that it was applied by us because it would never be as straight as the machines do it.
They're so much better at it.
Well, on the third try.
Yeah.
As a drying aid, is it better to use Dreammaker or paint gloss? So I use paint gloss. Dreammaker, I have not had a lot of success using as a drying aid, just because it is so thick that I feel like when you mix it with water, I haven't had that great of results with Dreammaker as a drying aid. I like it after when the paint's dry, but if you're looking for a drying aid, I would definitely go with paint gloss or Bead Maker. I actually use Bead Maker as my drying aid. Love it.
I'm trying to find this on the newsletter, which one it was.
Tug says, just picked up a couple sidekicks from Auto Geek. Any particular way they should be cleaned or washed? I just wash them with my regular towel load. So I have a couple and I just throw them in my basket with just my regular all-purpose towels. And I just wash them like normal. So I think you could either, if you needed to use them right away, you could soak them in, like a bucket out in your shop with rags to riches and then just rinse them out and lay them out to dry, or you can just wash them in the machine. I don't use any special care with them necessarily. I wash them with all of my towels. And they hold up really well. I mean, mine have been through the washer now, 50 times. They're totally fine.
Yeah, when I was testing them, I would just throw them in the washer. And we destroyed a few of them, but we destroyed them because we were scrubbing airplanes with them.
And we went through that in the testing process, right? We had different ways of closure and overstitching and all of that. We tested all that and we washed them. And, then we'd be like, nope, that falls apart. Nope, that falls apart. So that's why we actually went with that suede edge, is it held up in the washer. And that was one of our things that we wanted to make sure that you could literally just wash them. So, yep, you'll be good.
That's a good question, Malcolm.
I was going to bring this up so you could share it since you mentioned it.
Oh, there it is.
Newsletter. Look at that. So the newsletter comes out every other Thursday prior to Bead Maker and Coffee. So it is called the Bead Maker Lounge. And so in here, you're going to find obviously what the next Bead Maker and Coffee episode is. And then there is always tips and articles. So we rotate the articles. So one article will rotate between Keith, Rennie, Bob, and Dave. And then there's always a detailing tip that rotates between me and Kyle. So definitely, if you're not signed up for that, I believe you just sign up on our website, right, Chris?
Good question.
I believe that when you sign up,
we used to have a link for it.
Yeah, I believe when you sign up on psdetailproducts.com that there is a place to sign up for the newsletter. And not only you get put on the list for the Bead Maker Lounge, but you also go on the normal Constant Contact. So.
But you can, we need to share that link to more often.
Oh, Gabriel says it was on Facebook, not on the newsletter. Yeah, I didn't see it in our newsletter.
Oh,
good try.
Okay.
You made us think.
Yeah. One of our distributors did share it on Facebook. I think that's probably where Gabriel saw it.
That's right.
Because I was going to say we've released it yet. And you know why we haven't released it? So we have it, but Ian's been gone on a trip, so it's not on our website. So but yes,
maybe
Gabriel,
Ian can do that.
Saw it on Facebook we had a distributor put a picture out, which was great.
He's back from his trip.
Yes, I think he gets back today. So there in the chat is the newsletter sign up, which the newsletter is fun. I think it's it's short and sweet. It's about a 5-minute read, and it just comes out every other week. It's pretty awesome. And it'll have all the training dates and places and, any kind of special, news about PNS. It's a quick read. It's nice.
Yep.
Perfect.
All right.
Should we answer this one last
question?
And then I do have to run because my customer is going to be here any minute, but by 8:30. So let's answer this one. What is the purpose of a drying aid?
So for me, the purpose of a drying aid is to add some lubricant as you dry with a towel, but also because the product is evaporating, it helps the water evaporate into the towel as you wipe. Mm-hmm. So you're not scratching the paint because you are adding a little lubricity there with a quick detailer, but because the product itself will evaporate, it kind of helps the water, streak-free evaporation, and it aids you as you dry. That's kind of the idea behind it. Now, there's different products that you can use as drying aids. Sydney can tell you about those, in our
Yeah.
line.
So I mean, personally, I just use Bead Maker. So everyone knows I do rinseless wash. So with rinseless wash, I feel like because there's polymers in rinseless wash, you don't really feel like you need to use a drying aid because one, the car's not as wet. And then two, just the polymers in there kind of help dry it anyway. But I do use Bead Maker. And the reason I do this is because then I've applied my sealant in one step and I don't have to go back over. And so I've been using Bead Maker for 6 years now. And I've always applied it wet. And that's just my preferred method. I don't have any issues with it. And I don't know if it's because I apply it wet, but I've never had any issues with Bead Maker. And I feel like it lasts a really long time. And then, now I use it with the clay reset towel, which makes it even more awesome because then you're claying, decontaminating and sealing in one step. But I've always found that Bead Maker works great as a drying aid also. And then you're leaving behind protection, which is a bonus. But otherwise, paint gloss is a great drying aid too. Me personally, I don't really feel like I need a drying aid, but I do put Bead Maker on wet for sure.
Yeah, I do it occasionally, depending on the situations I'm in, as I feel it needs it. Some vehicles I don't, some vehicles I do. Especially like if I'm going to polish them, I don't need a drying aid because I'm going to be polishing them. Most of the time I use a leaf blower or a master blaster to blow dry cars. So I don't use towels that often on paint to dry. It depends on the situation, but love it. Bead Maker would be my go-to if I was drying aid to leave behind protection,
Yeah.
Can Bead Maker be applied over wax? Yes, you can. It depends on like the car and the wax. Some people have said that, they've left some streaks behind because Bead Maker was fighting with it. So, and if the wax was like waxed last week, or was it like 2-3 months ago, has the wax had time to evaporate and melt off? Because wax will melt at 175 degrees. Yeah, Bead Maker would probably do just fine. But if it was like waxed and then Bead Makered, they're going to fight each other a little bit.
Yeah, because the wax is kind of sealing off the paint, right? And so it makes it difficult for the Bead Maker to cross-link with anything. But there is certain waxes that it goes over great. One that I can think of off the top of my head is Colonite. Bead Maker goes great over Colonite, and I believe it's because it migrates through it and they kind of work together. But really thick waxes, especially hand waxes, you're going to kind of struggle with that the Bead Maker really has nothing to bond to, and so you could get some streaking. And then they always say put your strongest protection underneath, right? And so you would technically want Bead Maker on the paint. But you can put Bead Maker over anything, just there may be things that it isn't intended for and doesn't necessarily work. So you can always try it. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And there's so many waxes on the market that's not really a blanket answer, because there is some that it will migrate through and there's some that won't. So.
Yeah, that was a good question, Malcolm. He says he's in Vegas and he uses spot-free water, and drying is never a problem for him.
Cool.
Yeah, I totally, it's so dry there that water is going to dry up really quick. But if your water was starting to go bad a little bit, if their spot-free water wasn't quite perfect, because that happens sometimes when you buy your spot-free water, or and you notice some light rings, that's when a drying aid would help lift those off, in a pinch. So that would be a good help.
Yep. Cool. Samantha says, what can you talk more about Colonite? So I can't really talk too much about it. I don't know the science behind it. I know that it's a very old product. It's been around for a long time. It's from an awesome company. I used to use it a lot. I haven't used it honestly for probably about 4 years now. Just because I have a million other products, but it's a really good product. It's a really good, just kind of old school wax, but I don't know what makes it different. I don't know. I used it before I got into like the science of products. I just liked it.
It's an old school wax, but you don't really see it ever anywhere now. I used to see
a couple years ago, it was really big. Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably online, but I don't see it in any of the detail supply stores.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of went away with Carnauba a little bit, but I think Carnauba came back a little too.
Yeah.
All right, let's take the last one, and then I know you got to get going, and I have guys waiting for me. So.
Yep. All right. Yep. I am filming a video today and I've got a customer showing up. So thank you guys for joining us. These were great questions and we will be back in 2 weeks from today. And that doesn't put us at, that does not put us on Labor Day, right?
It's the week after, I think.
Perfect. Somehow we always end up on holidays. So we will see you guys in 2 weeks. If you have any questions in the meantime, you can always send them to our Instagram and we will save them for the next show. If you're not able to make it live or if you think of something, you can always send us a message with any questions in the meantime. But otherwise, we will see you guys in 2 weeks.
Thank you. Great question.